Welcome back to another video of me, Tyler, telling you or showing you how I'm turning my hobby, passion of photography into a business in 2026. And this is the debrief video from my test shoot in a gym. So what I've been doing since the start of this journey is booking in test shoots, which is basically a free photo shoot. It enables somebody to get free photos and you to get some experience for your portfolio. And that's what we've been doing. So we've done an array of a wide range of test shoots lately. And the latest one was in a gym. So test shoot was a 3-hour test shoot, which I would have liked to have been a little bit longer, but we'll get into that in a sec. What was the aim of the game for the gym? So we were going to be in a boutique gym, a small boutique gym. We had the whole gym to ourselves for the day. There was myself, the photographer, the gym manager, and we had 3 models, which was great. And the shoot plan went like this. We wanted to get some shots of the gym itself. We wanted to get some headshots of the manager, who's going to be the head coach. And we wanted to get some action shots and some coaching shots. So we had quite a lot to fit in, really. Here did I use? I took the A7 III from Sony. And lenses, I took the 50mm lens, the 85mm lens, and I took my 10mm fisheye lens, which I don't want to have to show you right now, but best lens I've purchased in a while, I've got to say. Now, I also was using this test shoot to test out some lighting. So I had my flash from Godox and I had my continuous light. Now, I know continuous light isn't something you hear many photographers talking about, but I wanted to take it along just to have a play about with it and see what we could get. And this is where we ran into a few problems, because there's always going to be something that happens on the day that you're not planning for. And I researched and planned this shoot within an inch of my life. Like, I really did. I did a lot of research. I knew what lens I was going to be using for what part of the shoot. And I really did a deep dive on flash and continuous light. And when I got there, the flash wasn't playing ball. So let's talk about what went wrong, and then we'll talk about what went right with this test shoot. So what went wrong? The flash went wrong. So you may or may not know that when you put a flash onto your camera, into your hot shoe, there will be a button at the back that you press. I'll put the description down below. You need to press this button. It's like a little H button. I can't actually remember what it's called. There's a little H button. It's got like a little lightning bolt sign. You press that and that will stop your flash or stop your camera from resorting back to 1/200 of a second shutter speed, if I've said that right. Now, I was planning on shooting sort of 300 to 500 shutter speed just to make sure everything was nice and sharp. But when I put the flash on, despite the button being pressed on the flash, it was still knocking my shutter speed back down to 1/250, 200 to 250. So this was a problem for me because, well, I needed it to be higher. So anyway, time being an issue here, because we only had 3 hours, I didn't really have the time to be trying to figure it out. I had to just kind of do what I could in camera. So what I ended up doing was I ended up basically not using the flash. And I had to rely on, when I wanted to use the flash, my ISO for my lighting, which can be a little bit scary, but the Sony cameras are great, even if you've got to bump your ISO right up. So my ISO at some points was like into the thousands. Like, I had to really bump it up to get some light. Just to give you an idea of what the gym was like, we had, it's a small gym, it's like a huge room, big massive windows quite high up. There was no real sun on the day, and it was very bright white walls. So it sounds like a really nice setting, but it can prove really difficult when it comes to lighting. The continuous light that is just over there was just rubbish. I'll be honest, it was absolutely awful. It's great in this kind of size room, but in that kind of size room, it just did nothing. So that kind of got put up and just left, and caused me a few problems back in the editing suite, because there was big mirrors in the gym and I kept seeing the light in a lot of my pictures because I just was in the zone, and I wasn't really, because I was worrying about all these things that were going wrong, I wasn't really then thinking about everything else I wanted to be thinking about, like my composition and things like that. So that made editing timely. So that was the first problem that I noticed with the Flash, and I've still not really gotten to the bottom of it. So if you've got any suggestions of what was causing that, pop it in the comments for me. That I wouldn't say went wrong, but an observation and probably a bit of learning on my part is that if you are going to be doing a shoot in a gym with models, form has to be adhered to. There is no point taking a picture of somebody doing a squat or a deadlift and the form being really poor. But in the situation I was in, was it down to me to be telling the coach to alter things? Was it down for me to be telling the model to alter things? It was my first time in this setting. I was dealing with the camera, so my direction probably wasn't that great. So that's something for me to work on. And also it's about learning what photos look flattering, because, you know, I had a few issues photographing the squat movement. Getting the right angle for that proved quite difficult, and there's editing photos. Yeah, you can make photos look nice back in the editing suite, but you can't change someone's movement and the way someone looks when they move, and that just can't happen. So again, it's about having the time. I think if I had more time, we could have played about a little bit more and got the right angles and spent a little bit longer on specific movements in order to get them right, for them to look as well as we wanted them to look post-production. So I learned a lot about sort of directing. I think that's something I need to look at, is what exactly do we want these photos to look like? And I think that's really important communication to have, especially if you're in a gym. Are you wanting specific shots of a specific exercise or movement? If so, we need to allow time to be spent on that specific movement, because if we're trying to cram a lot in and we're doing it a bit run and gun style, then if people aren't great at doing that movement, it's just not going to look good. So I learned a lot about lighting, or I learned that I need to learn a lot about lighting and direction as well, you know, directing models and sort of having that clear communication with the clients about what exactly do we want to get out of this. I think I overestimated what I could deliver in the short amount of time that I had. Again, that's a me issue, that I should have communicated that we needed more time really, or we needed to condense down what we were going to get. But we were both kind of, when I had a meeting with the manager from the gym, we did settle on it. Let's just get in here, let's have a play about, let's see what we can get. So there was no real expectation to get certain things. And it's a test shoot, so there never is going to be. But there's a couple of things there that I kind of took away that I'd probably take into my next shoot in a gym. Composition in a gym setting is really important, because there is a lot going on in a gym. Whether you've got a gym to yourself, an empty gym, there's a lot going on. And there's always going to be something in the frame that you don't want to be in the frame. And unless you've got time to be moving things around, it can be quite difficult to set up your shots. It was a real experience, and a good experience. I really took away from this shoot is that there is always going to be something that doesn't quite go to plan, regardless of whether you're doing a test shoot, whether you're doing a shoot that someone's paying you for, whether you've been doing it 10 years, 20 years, 1 year. There's always going to be something that crops up that goes wrong, and you've got to deal with it there and then and make the best of it. And you've just got to accept it, move on from it, and you take that into your next one as a bit of a learning experience. What went right? Well, the problems that I had, the things that went wrong, only I knew about. So it was something I was professional enough to deal with the flash issues and just adjust my settings, take the pictures. So the client's experience didn't alter. They didn't know I was having an issue with, well, I don't think they knew. So that was something I took away, that under that pressure, I felt like I was quite good, professional. I dealt with it. The clients had a good time. Everybody involved had a good time. There was nothing that anyone sort of at the time complained about or wasn't comfortable with. Everything that we did was agreed on, and everyone seemed to have a good time. There was lots of chatting. It was a nice atmosphere, so I was really happy about that. And we did get some really good images. You know, the day was a success. It was a great experience. I would definitely do it again. So if anyone's got any questions, please pop them in the comments. Let me know. My next test shoot is going to be mid-April. I'm doing a family photo shoot. And that will be my last test shoot. And this is something I just want to end on, is that whether you are a beginner or a professional, whatever the reasons behind your test shoots or free shoots are, it is really, really important to remind yourself that free is not forever. And somebody spoke about this on social media a couple of days ago, saying that, you know, a lot of photographers that will start out doing free work, and they will forget to start charging, and everything will just become a free shoot, a free shoot, a free shoot. At the end of the day, your experience will come. You know, when you go for a job interview at a company, for example, you might not have experience, but you still get taken on and people still pay you without that experience, and you're learning on the job and still getting paid. So we have to treat things like photography or anything that you're starting up that's new kind of the same. At what point do you stop doing free work? I set a goal, or I set a sort of a limit that I would only do free shoots for the things that I haven't already done. Once I've done my family photo shoots, I have covered pretty much everything. So anything going forward will probably be a charge to it. I think the only things that I will keep free is I do some voluntary shoots for a local charity. I'll probably remain the photographer or one of the photographers for the foreseeable future, because I think it's important to still give something back, especially if it's something that's close to your heart, it's something that you've been a part of, or you've gained some help from, or whatever it is. So I will still do my voluntary shoots with local charities that I work with, but I think after the family photo shoot, we will reassess things, and hopefully we'll be in a position to start adding fees. And just one more thing before I do go, this should have been a separate video really. I learned massively through the whole editing process that you really, really should charge your worth. You know, photographers that are new will always have low prices. And when you're there taking the pictures, it might seem like this is easy, this is really easy work, but I don't have the experience, so I'm not going to charge much. But then when you get back to your editing suite, or whatever it is you go to do your edits, you're probably going to spend longer there than you do on the shoot, on the scene, at the job, whatever. And it's in the editing, for me anyway, that is the most time taken from you. And you've got to think about your time, the software you're using, the equipment that you're using, the time that you've taken on consulting, traveling. There is a lot. So I definitely have had more of a thought process about my pricing going forward, and it definitely won't be as low as it was maybe a couple of weeks ago, because what I will be charging won't be huge, but it will be worth what you get, and it'll be, for me, it will compensate my time, energy, and my skill set. Because, you know, regardless whether you're new or, you know, you've been doing this 10 years, you're still bringing a set of skills, and you're still bringing a service to someone. So it's important to make sure that you price yourself a little bit more than what you think you're worth. And that is it for today. That is my debrief of the gym shoot. Have a look at the pictures, let me know what you think. And I will see you in a couple of weeks when we plan the next and the final test shoot of this series, before we move into landing that paid job. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing, liking the video. I would much appreciate it. That is it for now. Ta-ra!